Today we are going to make one of the community's favorite video, 4 patterns of techno. And I have another news, I have just released my peak time kick sample pack. It includes 210 peak time techno kicks together with 10 construction kits and 10 rumble loops. So it's really packed with a lot of different things. I will use them in the video and I will show around a little bit at the end of the video as well. So let's hop in and take a look at these beautiful patterns. So I prepared this loop from my peak time techno kick sample pack construction kits. We will just start with the simple Siren patch, something like this. I'm going to put a filter, so I'm going to create a pattern for one loop. We are in the G, so I'm going to go find G2. I'm going to just duplicate this so that I have 16 grid fill with the G. And after this point, the main idea is having the legatos and keeping it really simple. Maybe we can put this, for example, 1 octave up and then extend it. So in this part here, we will glide into the G3 when we play arpeggio. Let's take this off. Maybe let's extend this and put a legato here, mono legato a bit here, open this up. And in this case, maybe I go for D here. I'm going to play only with the an octave above and the fifth. If you don't know what the fifth is basically the fifth note in the scale. And it doesn't matter if it is major or minor, it's 7 semitone up from the root key. So in this case, this is the root. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then D right here is the fifth, the perfect fifth. And then after that point, let's take this off maybe. And then maybe we can put another D here, extend the legato. Maybe we can take this off, extend it again. Again, I don't want really something super complicated. I'm keeping it quite simple. And then maybe we can put another G here. And then maybe take this and extend this. So I'm going to pick something that I can modulate in the wavetable so that I can change the timbre of the sound while I'm playing it. So let's keep this one here. I'm going to go for, I think this one had some really nice, yes. The main idea is once we have this, we have to modulate to keep the sound a bit more interesting. So easiest way to do it, of course, to getting an LFO like this and putting it on the wavetable position. And when I play this, this is too fast. I want to modulate it slowly. And the other idea is, of course, creating an envelope so that it is not really sustained all the time. Let's make it a bit pluckier. Let's put it here. The same thing here. For envelope 2, we can actually make it a bit more pluckier and put it on here. And activate, of course, this and B. So I'm going to take this note here and put it here. Give it a bit drive. I want to make the sound even more interesting or even more changing. Applying one of these modulators here. In this case, we can maybe apply something like mirror here. And then do the same thing. Maybe take an LFO, the second LFO. And then this time we can apply it here. And the other fun thing that I really like to do is adding flanger. And adding phaser. I think you can already start imagining when you put this one into the distortion. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use thrash. Here you have to experiment a little bit because it's hard to know how the sound will react to distortion. So we can go through, for example, a couple of presets. Something like this is pretty cool, actually. It can get a bit annoying when you are playing with this without anything else, but it will really glue the track once we play together. At the moment, the sound is a bit naked, so we have to use some reverbs and echo to make it a bit more interesting. So I have first a reverb here, a single big room style or the small hall style reverb, I will say. And this type of sounds often goes really nice with the echo, so I prepared another echo here. And because it's a bit long delay, so we would like to duck it when the kick hits. Pick the kick and duck it a bit. So let me quickly go back and fix the knobs a little bit so that we can have something to play around. So what we have here basically a little bit longer than 1 minute loop, kind of, so that I can play with the knobs, and I put it obviously automation so that we have some delay sends and so on when we go to the break. It's super simple, really, not really that advanced. And then if we go back here, I put the filter cutoff and another filter, auto filter behind the isotope. So if I want to turn this on in the beginning, for example, get the dark sound here, and then a glue compressor sidechain kick. Simple things. And I think there was a small change on the rate of the LFO2. I changed the 2 bar, and if you take a quick look, we have this envelope, something like this. Everything else is really the same and sounds like this. So a bit more distortion as well, because I felt like a bit heavier distortion would work a bit better here still, so that distortion amount is higher than it was and sounds like this. Let's go to push and turn some knobs. This is the fun part. Now we have another super common sound. I call them the sirens. When you hear the pattern together with the sound, you will immediately recognize it. I just prepared a loop coming from my Peak Time Kick Techno construction kit. Sounds like this. So what we are going to do, first get a serum, put a cutoff filter like this, make it slightly pluckier so that I have a sound that I can play around. This is a bright sound, so I'm gonna go something like A3. So the main idea here is like occupying notes next to each other, like a half note above. So in this case, A and A sharp, to create this kind of really weird ambience. If I play, for example, something like this, if I go back here, back to A, like this, maybe go back to A sharp again, and then maybe go A again, maybe something like this, even better, maybe here. So very, very catchy and very techno-like sound. Like this will just stick into your head and it will stay there. It's quite annoying it sometimes. And after that point, the main important thing is making the sound a bit less stable so that it really creates tension in you. I'm just gonna activate Phobos later straight ahead, and I'm gonna go the same that we used, and I'm gonna bend it a little bit if I turn this off. And you can actually go something like this, make it longer sawtooth, and you want to make it a bit more unison so that the sounds get a bit detuned. I'm gonna take an LFO, put it into the fine here, and bring this down. And then the same thing here, turn this on, put in the 2 oscillator, and put it. Go envelope 2, make an envelope like this, put in the right hand side. A bit release. I'm gonna give it a bit dry, a bit fat, bring this down. And I'm gonna add a slight noise on top of that, something like actually clap sound. But of course I don't want it all the time, so I'm gonna create another envelope, super fast one, put it here. And afterwards we're gonna go for the distortion. This is the main bulk of the sound, but the main trick comes from how you utilize the ambience. And I have triple effects here. Let me quickly explain what they do. The first one is the big ambience. I'm using the Valhalla plate for this one. If we send it some, it sounds like this. The most important thing over here is actually the gate. The gate makes the initial pluck of the pluck sound suppressed, so that it's not really that plucky. So if I take this one, look what happens. It's like bum bum bum, but we want to create this really nice ambience. We don't want that sound, so I put a gate. The initial attack of the gate, it cuts this attack off. And once you have done this, play with the around. I'm sending like all the way up here. You should automate the volume here with the utility, because if you decrease this down, it will affect how the gate reacts. And of course, the final step is sidechain it to itself, so each pluck it ducks the reverb a little bit as well. So we are also ducking the reverb there as well. The second one is the echo. Let me send some there. We are getting really high area, the high pitch sound from there as well. And final here, I was a bit experimenting. The main idea is getting this a bit more pluck out of the sound. So if I play. So if I play again. And together with the track. The one thing that we need now is just assigning the cutoff and filters and so on, so that we can play around with the push. Let me quickly do that. So it looks like this now. The main one trick that I did is we have a break here, and then I just put it one octave up so that we have a little bit tension there. And the second thing that I realized that I didn't do is actually adding another layer to the original sound when we need a bit contrast. So here I layered it with the hive, and the main idea is same. We have again this plucky sound. But the idea is the same, having this amp and modulation on cutoff. Sound is almost the same. But compared to the other one, it's thicker. And let me show you one more time how the Siren looks. I think I slightly changed the envelopes, but everything else is the same. By the way, this pattern actually comes from Frontal's Inner Souls, but like I said, this is a pattern that is used really heavily in the genre a lot. But let's go to push now and play around and have some fun. Ladies and gents, this is the moment actually we switch to Ableton 11. The pattern that we are looking for now is kind of called the tension builders, and it's extremely popular, and it's like kind of jack of all trades. You can use it on the breaks to create tension, or you can use in your techno tracks to create more kind of driving style techno. Again, from my peak time techno kick samples, the construction kit sounds like this. we will do like we did before. I'm going to create something like this. Being Ableton 11, you can actually pick the scale here, scale E. We are in E minor. But first, we're going to get a diva. I'm going to go for my preset pack because I know exactly which preset that I want for this sound. And we're going to go for Victorious Apollo style sound. Open up the pattern. Start with here, E1, put it all the way up. So we have this driving style pattern. The main reason that I call them tension builders is that you will have the notes going up or down or just having this kind of really linear movement to create really this tension in you. The first thing that I'm going to do, put, for example, take this one to put one octave up. Once we do this, the main idea is just go up. Like that simple. Leave 2 notes, go up, leave 2 notes, go up, leave 2 notes, go up. And then last 2, because we are running out of space, we're just going to leave 1 note. And you can make it even more complicated, make it 4 bars. If you want to make it very loop, very repetitive, but very more easy to memorize, this type of things really works because it's super linear, just sticks there, stays there. And the one thing that I'm going to do now is actually open the diva and play the sound a little bit. I'm going to give a bit more attack. I'm going to take the blade and delay because we are going to use external effects, but I'm going to give a bit chorus. The first, I have a chamber large room style reverb here. I'm going to send a little bit there. Really cool reverb. And the second thing here is another echo. Let me sign it a bit so that we can listen to it. This part is really important because it's a very simple sound. You want it to create this ambience and push them a bit side to create this like big whole ambience. And that's exactly what we are doing here. We have an echo, 1/8 notes, and then we have a, again, filter, cutting up the high parts. Let me show this. But we are using a pedal here to distort the sound. Instead getting this really dirty sound out of it, and of course side chaining to itself, super slightly. And we're going to do exactly the same thing over here as well. We're going to bring a pedal and get the mids out of the sound a bit more. So if I play this, again, this depends how much you like the sound a bit distorted, or we want to have a clean ambience or dirty ambience. But because we have also pedal on echo, I like to make it a bit dirtier because it goes really nicely with this a bit dirtier main room techno, peak time techno ambience. If I play together. So let's do the same thing. Let me put the macros on so that we can play around a bit later on and come back. Because this is Ableton 11, now I can actually change the number of the macros depending on my need. In this case, we have only 4. These are the cutoff and the resonance on diva and the modulation amount, and of course the gain on the pedal so that I can distort a bit more in case I need it. And of course a minute of small composition so that I can play around while it's playing in the background. But this is quite fun to play as well. So let's go to push and try it out. you're enjoying the video up to now, and if you feel like it's adding something to you, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button, because it helps immensely. Other than that, let's go back. And the last pattern is extremely experimental and something that has been done for a really long time. Let me quickly show you what I'm about to do. I already tried to find a good sound because this is a very experimental. It's hard to really do it on the go because you never know the results. So I prepared this one already in advance. So what we have here is just a clap sound like this. It's quite dark simply because it's transposed to 12, so it actually sounds like this. The main idea of using resonator is creating a sound, a chord out of a non-musical sound, like a clap in this case. Like if I turn this on, look what happens. Why is this happening? Because with the resonator, you are basically putting an EQs like this and resonate the frequency that is the kind of a key. And the resonator does that for you just a bit easier way. So in this case, we are having all these different type of resonators, like the different kind of resonant frequencies. In this case, I pick F and 7 semitone up, so perfect fifth, and 4 semitone up, the third, minor third, and then 12 semitone, 1 octave up and 2 octave up. So it turns the sound into this instead. And of course you can play around here, maybe make the sound a bit wider, or you can play around how much each sound will sound. You can see that I gained them up in the beginning and then higher notes a bit less gain. And of course you can pick also in which bands that you're gonna resonate. So if I move this up. So I'm preferring the darker notes in this case. In old time, this is the way you did it before Ableton 11. So if you play this one with something like this and put some effects on it, it's already quite interesting sound. And the main idea when you work in this way is like just switching the samples or tuning them up and down and try to come up with some interesting sound that you can build your track on. Additional thing that I did with the Ableton 11, we have also this spectral resonator that really quite interesting. It's kind of a version 2 of the resonators, a bit less options, works a bit slightly different, but the end result is similar, getting this kind of metallic sound. So what I'm doing is, if I play now, gets the sound really more focused and more resonating, more metallic. Nice thing is, like similar to this one, you can actually shift it. And of course the main things like sidechaining the kick. And tuner is there to just actually see what key you are in. This is already like a nice pattern, nice sound to go along. But what you can also do now, not only using the claps, but I did in this case, I took a diva. I have plucky lead sound from my diva preset pack. Classic sound, but it also really nicely reacts to spectral resonator. Like in this case, the same idea here. Really cool sound. And again, the same thing, the same technique applies here. So if I start playing with the shift, what does this mean? This means that I can actually play with this when I'm playing live. Instead of playing with like filter, I can play with the shift to make the sound brighter and get a bit more different ambience. And when I go to break, for example, I can turn on the reverb. And then maybe drop, turn this off and go back like this. And then if you layer this one with the other guy here, because the other one was a bit darker, volume this to make it even darker, I would say. So let's go back, fix the composition, fix the knobs so that we can play around a bit. Let me quickly do that. Alright, so what we have here, the shift, so that I can shift the sound on the resonator and drive it off the reverb so that I can put the reverb if I need it. And then of course, but other than that, let's go to push 2 and try this out as well. So let me quickly show you the peak time core library extension for Mercurial Tones. So we have construction kits, 210 kicks. Each one of them is actually labeled with the key. Let's say you like the kick 11. D, but you want to have it in the F instead. So you don't need to put it in and tune it because I have the same timbre but in all the keys. So you can just go, for example, 11F. And now it's tuned the F. So it should be quite straightforward to use it. And I also received a lot of comments that the construction kits are really appreciated and used a lot. So I prepared 10 main room peak time techno construction kits with them. For example, if you go to, let's say, 8 and take a look at what is included, you have all the separate loops. For example, if you like it, you can just take the off hat. First, you can quickly take a look at the mix down, how it sounds. Let's say you don't like the loop, but you just want to have the off hat from it, so you can just take this instead. And of course, the mix down is labeled with the key and the BPM. And finally, we have the rumble loops here. So if you just want to get a quick rumble, you can just get it here. And of course, 10 rumbles also inside the construction kit. So actually you get 20 different rumble loops. But let me quickly go to the construction kits and some of the key kicks so that you can know a bit more about it. And let's quickly take a look at some of the kicks. And of course, some of the rumbles. And so on. So you can get them on Mercurial Tones. Let me quickly show you how you can get there. So this is the website of mercurialtones.com. So you will find all the different type of preset packs, sample packs, templates and so on here. In this case, it's under sample packs. You will see that peak time kick samples. If you go in there, you will find all the explanation. You can take a look at, again, the mix downs from the construction kits, a bit explanation what you get, and a bit more samples from the kicks and so on. And you can get it here. But that was it. I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you learned something. And I will catch you in the next one. Goodbye.